I want us to share a truth together. If we don't protect our hope, this world will wear it down for us. That's the truth. Not all at once. It doesn't always take some big, dramatic, life-changing moment to zap it all away. Sometimes hope wears down slowly. Exhaustion, disappointment, and fear can all wear our hope down slowly. Comparison can also wear it down. Bad news, constant pressure, and 1,000 little messages that tell you to expect less from your life. All of that takes something out of us over time. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day and realize that you might be functioning, but you are no longer believing. You get up, you go to work, and you're handling everything you're supposed to just fine. But on the inside, something changed. Something has gone dim. That's why today we are talking about protecting your hope, because hope is everything. You can move mountains with hope. I am so serious about that. I know you don't feel it today, and that's okay. That's why we're here together. But if you don't learn to actively guard your hope, other people, systems, stress, and life itself will try to convince you to live without it. Welcome back to How to Dream. I'm Deedee Cummings, and this is episode 3, Protect Your Hope Because This World Will Try to Steal It. Thanks so much for joining me back here for episode 3. I'm excited to share something I have learned through years of therapy, both as a therapist and as a client of therapy. How to hope. And once you have hope, how do you protect it in this demanding and unpredictable world? In episode 1, we talked about what happens when life gets so heavy that you can't even begin to dream. We started with hope. We named the truth that when you are tired, overwhelmed, discouraged, or just carrying too much, your imagination starts to shrink. Then in episode 2, we took the next step. We talked about giving yourself the permission to want more. More peace, freedom, joy, more money, more purpose, or just more life. Wanting more is not greedy or selfish. And it's not something that we're getting ready to apologize for, because to want more is to be human. But now we have to talk about the thing that stands between hope and action all the time. And that is what is trying to drain your hope in the first place. Because if hope is what makes dreaming possible, then protecting hope becomes a part of that work. By now, you know the voice you're listening to. You know you are listening to author and therapist Deedee Cummings, but I want to share a little more of my journey with you, because sometimes people hear all these titles that go behind my name and they seem to think that I somehow floated here. The truth is, it was the farthest thing from that. It was more like a climb through dirt and muck and negativity and haters and backstabbers and people who I thought were my friends. I wish I did float here, but I didn't. And sometimes I work with therapy clients who are single moms, or just people who have struggled financially somehow, or people who have failed at something that they desperately wanted in life. And they have no idea until I tell them that I am all those things too. I was a single mom at a young age, and I struggled financially, and I failed a lot. It was not until I started making a way that I could see that a way was being made for me. But I had to start. I had to take the step. And I also had to learn how to protect my hope so I could take the next step after that. One of the saddest things I see in therapy is when someone comes to my office and sits down in front of me and it is clear they have lost all hope. I don't know if you've ever seen that in a person, but it's devastating to witness because most of the time they have every right to have lost all hope. Every right. And still, in this life, we have to find a way to climb our way back to hope. We have to fight for it. So, I want to say something important here that I hope we can all keep in mind, and that is that hope is a natural thing to have, but it is not an automatic thing to have. Hope is, after all, in our makeup as human beings. It's part of our survival. Why hunt the saber-toothed tiger and hope to have dinner so we can hope to make it to tomorrow? But that hope can be taken from us. Circumstances can pile up quick, and it can feel like those circumstances bury us. And that's the real hunt for survival, the hunt to protect our hope. So we want to see tomorrow. People sometimes act like hope is something you either have or you don't. Like some people are born hopeful and some people are not. But I don't believe that. I believe that hope is something you have to tend to, like a garden. You have to protect it. You have to feed it. You have to weed it and you have to check on it. And very often you have to fight for it. There are too many things in this world designed to disconnect you from possibility. And I know somebody didn't hear what I just said, so I'm going to say it again. There are too many things in this world that are designed to disconnect you from possibility. And again, it's not always something dramatic. Sometimes hope gets stolen through constant bad news or doom scrolling, comparison, too much work, toxic relationships, disappointment you never fully dealt with, environments where your gifts are not seen, systems that teach you to comply and not to use your imagination, and people who are deeply uncomfortable with your expansion. Whew, when I when I said that last one, it sent a zing through my core. Sometimes our hope gets stolen through people who are deeply uncomfortable with our expansion. And before you know it, slowly but surely, you stop expecting good things. You stop imagining change. You stop believing that your life could be different. Can you think of anyone in your life who might benefit from you feeling that way? This is why protecting your hope matters so much. Because once your hope gets low enough, you stop reaching for something different. And when you stop reaching, your world gets smaller. Let's talk about all the sneaky ways this happens. And it's important that we talk about it so that you'll be able to recognize this if it shows up in your space. Sometimes hope is stolen by comparison. You look around and everyone else seems ahead somehow. Everybody else seems to have it all figured out while you feel like you're walking around in a fog. Everybody else seems more accomplished or more put together. They seem more organized, more successful, or just more on their path. And comparison will make you forget about your own life altogether. You start to disrespect your own progress. And when you disrespect that, you miss your own timing. It will make you act like the talents and the opportunities that were given to you are somehow not enough because they don't look like the talents and the opportunities that were given to someone else. Sometimes hope is stolen by constant urgency, and boy, do I know a lot of people who struggle with this. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels like a crisis. Everything feels like respond now, fix this now, worry now, prove yourself now. And when your body is living in constant urgency, it's so hard to imagine possibility. Your body doesn't feel safe when it lives in constant urgency. How are you going to expand? Your body is busy just trying to survive and get to the next day. Sometimes hope is stolen by other people's fear, not our fears, other people's fears. People will project their own limitations onto you all day long. In the book, How to Dream, I talk about how 90% of what people say to you has absolutely nothing to do with you. And I mean that 90% of what people say to you has absolutely nothing to do with you. So you share your dream with them, and they say things like, that sounds pretty risky, or, I don't think that's very realistic. They might say, you should be grateful for what you have, or I wouldn't do that if I were you. You will need the ability to discern. And I want you to hold on to that word because it's important. You will need the ability to discern when these comments are wisdom and when they are just fear dressed up in an outfit that looks like wisdom. And if you can't tell how to figure out the difference, you'll start letting fearful people dictate the direction of your future. And no, we're not about to let people dictate the direction of our future. Not anymore. I want to read a very short passage from my book, Hope, Healing, and Survival for the Tired Heart. And if you already have the book, I am on page 63, which is chapter 7. And this chapter is called Hope is a Skill and We're Going to Practice It. Hope is the desire for something to happen. I hope I get that promotion, but you never apply because you're afraid of rejection. I hope we have kind leaders, but you got to show up and vote. I hope someone reads this book, but I have to write it first. We've been told over and over again that hope is something you either have or you don't, that it's a feeling that arises when things are good and disappears when life gets hard. But here's a mindset that will change your life. Hope is not a feeling. Hope is a skill. And like any skill, it can be taught, learned, practiced, and strengthened, especially when the world is heavy, and the world is heavy now. So in the meantime, we gonna work on hope. That's just a short passage from a very powerful book, but I use it to reinforce the point that protecting your hope is a discipline. It's a skill like the ability to swim fast. Protecting your hope does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let difficulty become your entire worldview. Have you ever had so many problems in life that all you could see were more problems? Protecting hope means I can see what is hard and still believe in possibility. I can tell the truth about the situation I'm in and not ignore my imagination. Protecting hope means I do not let every hard thing become the proof in my life that nothing good can happen. Because that is exactly what hopelessness does. It takes one hard thing and turns it into a whole philosophy. You find yourself saying things like, nothing changes. It's no use. People like me don't get things like that. It's too late. That works for other people, but it never works for me. But hope says, this is hard, but this is not the end. Hope also says, and I really love this as a mantra, I will not let pain have the final word. That is discipline, and that is where your power lies. I want to add something here that's kind of a side note, but not really. If you're already saying things like this to yourself, if you're thinking things like this, I want you to promise me you'll find a therapist today. And don't stop trying to find one until you find one who works for you. Ask a friend or your church or your child's school. If you're fortunate enough to have health insurance, call the number on the back of your insurance card for behavioral health. Tell them the zip code you live in, and they can help you find a therapist who's close to you or close to your work so you can easily get there. But please do this for you because you don't have to live like this. And therapy is life-changing. You know what I've learned? I've learned that the people who hold on to hope are not always the people who had the easiest lives. A lot of times they are the people who made a decision that said, I know what I see. I know what I've been through. I know all that has disappointed me, but I am not going to build my entire identity around what hurt me. That is a very powerful decision. And let me tell you, it's not always a glamorous decision. We can take a real ugly route to get there, but one day you will turn your lips and your nose up in disgust at the same patterns, the same situations, the same old conversations that you have been having, and you'll decide to turn your phone straight off, not on D&D, off. And you'll stop reading the comment section because it won't even matter what they have to say. You'll stop entertaining the same conversations because they never seem to produce a different result. And you won't even waste your breath trying to explain your dream to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. You'll stop wasting your precious time and energy on people who leave you feeling smaller every single time you come into contact with them. You will start putting boundaries in place, and you'll hear yourself saying, I cannot keep pouring my mind into things that poison my spirit and then wonder why I can't dream. That is so real and so powerful. That is the hope that moves mountains. And ooh, I can't wait for you to get there. And I know you can get there because I have seen it over and over again. Where you are today is not where you will stay when you do the work to protect your hope. Well, now I done worked myself up. So we're going to take a moment and breathe, but this time this breath is for me. I get excited about the possibility of people living their truth and rooting their spirit in hope. I get excited about the possibility of people discontinuing old patterns that no longer serve them. So I got a little excited, especially when I was talking about you sharing your dream with people who are committed to not understanding your vision, your heart, your spirit. So let's take a break and breathe. We're going to take a breath all the way in. Hold it. Now let it all the way out. Let it out beyond even what you think you can. Let's take another breath all the way in. Hold it. Now let it all the way out. And I think I said this in a previous episode, but I'm just going to remind you, if you need more breaths than this, you can either rewind a little or you can pause and you can do this on your own. There is a breathing technique called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And I encourage you to look it up and practice it because it really does help to bring your nervous system back to a place where you can think more clearly, where even your blood pressure is lower and you can plan more clearly. So, if you need more time to breathe, please take it. We're going to walk through some of the makeaway mindset steps, and the first one is to reset. So, we're going to do that by saying to ourselves, I am here. I can come back to myself. I do not have to stay flooded. I can choose what and who gets access to my mind. Okay, just let that settle in and let it take root in your mindset. Now we're going to name what has been draining your hope lately. And I don't want you to name this in some vague way like life, the world. I want you to name it in a real way. What has been draining your hope lately? Is it the news? Is it comparison? What about a difficult relationship in your life? Name it. My mom, my dude, my oldest child. Name it. Is it fear about money? Or are you spending too much time doom scrolling? Name what is draining your hope lately. Once you name the hope thief, you can stop being confused about where your energy is going. The next step is to shift it. We're going to shift one thought. Write down or think about a thought that continues to pop up in your mind that is not serving you. Here's an example of a thought that pops up in a lot of people's minds that I know, and it does not serve them. I just need to tough it out. I want to shift that thought to I need to protect what keeps me alive inside. Or maybe the old thought is I'm weak because I'm affected by all of this. I should be better at handling it. And we're going to shift that thought to I am wise enough to notice what is draining me. Or my hope deserves protection. Choose the one you need or pick a thought that continues to pop up in your mind that is no longer serving you and shift it to a thought that does serve your mind. Next step is to build it. I want you to think of one hope boundary and one hope ritual. A hope boundary is something you reduce, pause, or limit. Examples of hope boundaries would be no social media at all before 10 a.m., no doom scrolling while you're in bed, no talking about my dream with people who don't get it, no checking email after a certain hour, and no consuming content that leaves me feeling powerless all day. That's some examples of hope boundaries. Now we're going to name some hope rituals, which are things that give you life back. Some examples are 1 page of journaling, a walk, a good laugh, reading something that is nourishing, not something that is negative. How about a hope meter check-in? sitting still long enough to hear yourself think. That is so underrated in this day and age. We are constantly entertained by devices. We constantly have noise in our head. If you look around, you'll even see people at a dinner table who are all on their phones. Sit still long enough to hear yourself think so you can hear the messages that you continue to tell yourself. Pick one boundary, pick one ritual. And then our last step is to take the steps. So now I want you to say this. Within 24 hours, I will protect my hope by, and then fill in that blank. Within 24 hours, I will protect my hope by. And I want it to be something that is simple, something that is real and that you can actually do. Because hope is not a feeling. Hope is a decision you make with your habits. And every time you work to protect it, you are telling yourself, my future matters. Here are some ideas for affirmations for the week. And you can use these or you can create your own. Either way, telling yourself affirmations is a very powerful thing that you can do. The world gives us so many negative messages that we need to cancel those out by telling ourselves very uplifting, very empowering statements about what we can do and what our lives mean to us. So here are my affirmations that I offer to you this week. My hope is precious. My hope is worth protecting. I do not have to give everything access to my mind, my spirit, or my imagination. I can guard the things that help me live. Our prompt for this week, which is something I would like you to sit with and think about, or even journal about, which is a very powerful thing to do. Our prompt for this week is to think about what has been stealing my hope lately and what am I willing to change to protect it? What has been stealing my hope lately and what am I willing to change to protect it? I want you to sit with that for a moment, maybe even hit pause on this podcast. Don't rush past it because that question alone can change a life. What am I willing to change to protect my hope? If this episode spoke to you, I want you to promise me you will stay with this work. I have several therapy clients who will start behavioral health medication for anxiety or depression. And after a month or 2 or 3, I'll ask them how it's going. And they'll tell me they stopped taking the medication because they feel better. So if you feel better, that is great. But we got to keep this going. Remember, it's a month or 2 out of a whole lifetime that has been delivering messages to us that tell us that we are not entitled to our hope and we are not entitled to our dreams. So I need you to stick with this. If you feel better, I'm glad, but let's keep it going together. Go back to your notes, go back to your journal or your workbook and write this down for this week. I want you to write down one hope thief, one hope boundary, one hope ritual, and one next step. And if you haven't already, make sure that you get your free digital copy of my book, In the Meantime, Hope, Healing, and Survival for the Tired Heart. It's completely free. Download it and share it with someone who you know also needs hope. We are building hope on purpose so we can get our dreams in motion, one step at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, and you definitely won't want to miss this one because we're going to have a truly special guest join us to talk about how we dream in the meantime.